Guys, we're back.
We are.
You know
what's
the
the worst?
Daniel's back. Oh, great.
Spoilers are the worst. That's what's the worst.
Not people being late.
Yeah.
Like people being late to spoil The Mandalorian. I really hate that. I want to finish it on my own time.
What is worse? People who are consistently late to recording the podcast or people who spoil The Mandalorian?
People spoil The Mandalorian.
I agree with that.
I might have to go with that one.
Because I have been purposely waiting because the age of streaming services has kind of ruined watching something week to week for me. So it's just sort of been like, oh, I'm going to wait till The Mandalorian is done, like the season, and then I'm going to binge it. But after every episode, people just make no effort to not spoil it. And the season finale just had some massive stuff in it, not to mention characters who have made an appearance on the show throughout the season, and people have just spoiled it. I think, and as someone who's a massive Star Wars fan, like I have a lightsaber. I'm not going to get it because it's beyond that, but like I have a lightsaber, and that like I'm a massive Star Wars fan, and it's just seeing this stuff spoiled. It makes me so mad. Stop doing it. Stop it.
I mean, just in general, just not with the Star Wars, just with anything. Don't spoil it.
People did such a good game not spoiling Endgame.
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I accidentally found out what happened, and I was so disappointed. I thought they were lying. Before walking into the theater, I found out what happened, and I thought, oh, it's just some joke. And then when it actually happened, I was so upset.
Can I tell you guys a funny story how I watched Endgame?
How did you watch it?
Before we move forward. So I was that person that waited like 2-3 months until it kind of died down a bit because like I think it kept getting sold out. And you know what? I ended up watching it. So remember when I was working at Ryerson like as a research assistant in the summer of 2019. That was actually a fantastic summer. There was some Raptors won. But my prof, I got there and he's like, I don't really have much work for you to do. So take like a 4-hour lunch break.
Oh, and you went to Young.
And I just went to see the movie. And this was already like 3 months. And this was 11 in the morning or 10 in the morning.
Was the theater empty?
I went to Carlton Cinema with just me and like 3 other like elderly people.
Thanks for the invite.
You were back in Pickering.
Still closer than Montreal.
That's true. All right. I'll know for next time when I had the 4-hour break.
But no, but you know what else got spoiled for me too, unfortunately, about Han Solo in episode 7.
Oh, Force Awakens?
Yeah.
That's tough. I mean, it should have happened in episode 5, but
no, but I was so
about a couple decades too late.
Yeah.
What happened?
He died. If you haven't seen the movie, if you haven't seen The Force Awakens, then like, if you haven't seen episode 7 yet, like, get out of here. There's a certain time period, like if The Mandalorian airs, don't put out the ending credit scene of a season finale and tell people about it hours after it airs.
They did the James Bond thing to it, like where it's like The Mandalorian will return at like the.
I don't know because I haven't watched it yet. They don't spoil that, but they spoil. Oh, look who's here! It's just.
Question: do you guys like going episode to episode, or you have to watch it all in one go?
No, all in one go.
Nowadays, I have to binge it.
Okay.
Like Better Call Saul. Like I haven't seen the recent season of Better Call Saul, but I had it recorded here in Pickering. But then while I was in wherever I was, I come back and the first 2 episodes are gone. I'm like, oh, did I mess it up? But my mom deleted them to make room for something. And I was heartbroken. I haven't watched it yet because I don't have the episodes.
I think it depends on what it is, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it's like because the thing with me is I get so emotionally attached to the characters. If it's like one of those seasons where it's like the final season, it's like, man, that one hurts. Like every time I watch the last episode of The Office, oh, it hurts.
I feel that with Back to the Future Part 3. I can't let go of that storyline.
Well done, guys.
I know that's not a show, but yes.
Oh, I guess to answer, I don't know who asked the question, but how long do you have to wait? I think if it's on a streaming service, give it about a week. If it's just in the movies, maybe like 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how big the movie is. Like something like Endgame, don't talk about it for like a few weeks. Because it's the movie theaters are busy. Maybe you don't get a chance to go watch the movie. like Daniel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, spoil stuff for Daniel because he doesn't bother to even invite you. So
Oh well, I don't know. I just
you don't know. I do. I didn't get the invite.
All right.
Hockey. Yeah. Let's talk about hockey.
It might be back.
We think so. It's halfway there, kind of.
Yeah.
Biggest news of the week. We will hit it right off the ground. The NHLPA, for those of you who don't know, that's the players. The kind of important people in this. Not the most important, but in their hearts, they're the most important. They 56 game thing, the whole taxi. We're not going to go into the details because it's boring. We've talked about it plenty of times before. And here are some of the key dates that we can talk about. This is from Pierre LeBrun on Twitter. Puck drop, January 13th. Trade deadline, April 12th. The end of the regular season would be May 8th. Expansion draft, July 21st. Remember, that's happening. Seattle, they're coming out. The draft would be the 23rd and the 24th of July. Free agent frenzy, July 28th. And as Pierre LeBrun puts here, on July 29th, LeBrun goes to the cottage. I thought that was really fun. We're not 100% of the way there because actually the Board of Governors were on a call starting at 12 a.m. It's currently 12:52. Both those times are Eastern, by the way. If you're someone who listens to the show out of the Eastern time zone, that'd be wicked. I think we have someone who listens in England, which is weird.
Shout out to Alex Sayre. He's in the Atlantic province. He listens to this.
Oh, okay.
Enjoy the Atlantic
He's provinces. In my class.
Sweet. But yeah, guys, a first step, a first real step. People are getting really excited now. We'll talk about the Canadian division in a second, but barring things from the owners
and the government,
and the government, we will. Yeah, that pertains to the Canadian division. But as far as the players are concerned, which is they are not they're not the most important piece of the puzzle, but they are a big one nonetheless.
Absolutely. I would be very surprised if the Board of Governors reject this. I mean, it seems like they don't. The economic changes, they're fine with not making economic changes to the memorandum of understanding, and I don't think the changes that are being made to the divisions and all that are big enough for them to say, hey, maybe let's not do this. So I think the biggest thing I think for them was the economic changes, and they said, screw it, whatever, we'll back off.
Mm-hmm. There's a few things here and there, like San Jose maybe starting in Arizona, but they have a lift that's up until I believe it's the beginning of January, so things might change. Again, Canadian division in a second. But Daniel, your say on this. We're getting there. Slowly but surely. The NHL's motto.
I think the last few weeks we've been kind of doubtful in terms of revenue sharing and how that was going to go. And to kind of see that, they came to a bit of a compromise here. And the fact that we're still going to get, around that range we had, I think they said 56 games as the proposal. And I think what we said 54 around there.
We say a new number every week.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited that, they've been able to kind of do this. And man, I know we're going to talk about it later, but in terms of the Canadian division, that just to see what they could kind of do with this is just, I don't know, that's something that still has to be fixed, but I'm trying to put my excitement of that on the shelf until we see more of the other decisions rolling out.
You know what? I'm just like you. I wasn't getting as excited as I saw some other people were on Twitter. I was actually getting more and more angry when I saw more news coming out. I texted you guys about this. It's just that the NBA, I saw more stuff about James Harden and maybe a trade for him is getting more solidified. And obviously we talked about the Westbrook trade. The season starting soon for them in the NHL have just sort of been lagging behind. Now, Chris Johnson was on Tim and Sid. I think probably the day before, I think on Thursdays when he was on. So right the day before we sort of got word that the players had agreed. And he talked about it's a very different situation because obviously whatever the MLB or the NBA have to do, it's simply that you work out the states and then, okay, let's bring either you just have to deal with one Canadian team being the Raptors, obviously, and the Blue Jays for the MLB. And in hockey, of course, we have 7 Canadian teams stretching coast to coast instead of just everyone in Toronto. And my brain was listening to Chris, and I'm like, you're right. But my heart said, I don't care. Because the league, the NHL, just, it feels like a tentative agreement, a last second, are they going to get it done, is just the way they live. I think barring confirmation is going to be on the NHL's tombstone, is what I put on Twitter. It's getting so difficult to just be a hockey fan, and you're waiting just to get the thumbs up from players that we're going to get a season. It's just so difficult. And by the way, if I look down on my phone, it's just because I'm double checking Twitter to see if anything's coming out, and just looking at bits of info. But guys, are you excited? Is that how you're feeling with this news? Are you, Daniel? I know you said you put your excitement on the shelves, but I want to ask you both, how are you feeling right now? I'll start with Alex here, or Daniel, okay. Whatever. Flip a coin.
No, Daniel can go. It's okay.
Okay.
Daniel.
Yeah, it's what you kind of feel that, it's just, we're in the gray zone right now, guys. We're not there yet. We're not.
We are all literally in the gray zone.
Yeah, we're all in. I mean, in terms of not COVID, okay, but I think in terms of this decision that we're in the in between, where we're in between our world and the upside down. No, I'm kidding. But that's a Stranger Things.
Never seen it.
Okay. But I kind of feel that there's nothing really decided yet. That we said we got these announcements here, but it's nothing concrete that we can kind of run with it and say, I don't know, we'll use the NBA again. They're literally playing right now, and we had that decision months ago. But with this, it's just the NHL is that student in the class that does the assignment the last minute, and they just try to scramble everything. And in terms of the progress report, they hand in whatever they can. And coming from journalism students, we know how that feels.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think the thing with the NHL is that on the at first glance, it seems like just in general, pre-COVID, that they're kind of prepared. Yes, they have labor disputes, but they look prepared. I think this pandemic has really exposed them as number 4 of the big 4 in terms of financials. And I think the battle the owners tried to have with the players really proved that. And I'm not making excuses. I think we should have had something by now. We should have, I mean, I don't know if we would have preseason, we should be following some similar schedule as the NBA. And I mean, I understand you want to have an off season in that, but come on, they finished in September. When was the finals? I can't even remember. Was it September? Beginning of September, right?
I think it was end of September because free agency and the draft were the week of October.
You're right.
Yeah.
They should have been planning during the playoffs. I understand they want to get that done, but their focus should have been on the future too. That's my sense of it, is that they should have been also focused on the future, because they have to know that there's no way we are going back to normal for the 2021 season.
It's this thing of, even if you have more of your league in another country, I mean, and again, we all know that this thing of we're working almost week to week in our lives right now, but you can have some sort of plan in place. And it felt like the NHL had exactly, they weren't planning, Alex. There was nothing in place, nothing at all. And it's just another sort of, man, I'm looking down on the NHL. I'm thinking, man, I've liked the Raptors preseason games I've watched. I really fell in love with Formula One over this break. I really, really have. And this is the first time in my life when I've really started enjoying other sports when hockey hasn't been around. And I don't want to say that. I love this game, but it's just it feels like the league that runs it does not love me.
And just to
this, sorry, Gox.
No, I was just gonna say to kind of build on that point. We talked about this in one of my classes. We looked at lockouts and how they affected like attendance and stuff like that. And generally there wasn't that big because, you know, the whole thing when a lockout happens, fans say, oh, I'm never going to watch this game again, blah, 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 whatever.
Every
like
tweet
the typical tweet that, you know, they're lying about. But
I've been a season ticket holder since 1967.
And I'm not going to buy the tickets in. Okay, sure, you're not. That's a lie. But I think this is very different. Now, I know it wasn't technically a lockout, but it acted as similar to a lockout, the way that the players and the owners were fighting. But I think there's going to be an extreme difference in what might happen to viewership. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong because the NHL needs that viewership because they are entering a contract year with NBC. But I think this took a toll on a lot of fans because they're seeing all these other leagues starting up again, or at least having plans, and the NHL sitting there having a discussion. Sorry about the phone in the background. Having discussions about what they're doing.
It's Lego calling us to really get that endorsement going. Finally,
yeah.
Use code 201 podcast to check out. We wish. You make a really good point, and this isn't even the. I mean, aside from the pandemic, how many lockouts have happened in our lifetime with this game?
94, 90. Oh, in our lifetime, two,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen, and it's some positives here before we go to the Canadian. Actually, no, let's just get the negativity out the way. Before we get to talk about how fun the playoff format is, we've all been excited about the potential for a all-Canadian division. Though this week, last week. I believe Sunday is the start of a new week, by the way. Sorry if that's confusing. Last week, there was all of a sudden these reports saying that if the NHL and sort of each provincial health organization, you can say it, of each individual province here in Canada where they do have NHL teams, if they couldn't come to an agreement, if the provincial health boards are like, nah, I don't like this, dude, then there was the potential of the Canadian teams having to go down to the States for the season. It looks like apparently of all of the provinces involved, 4 of the 5 are cool. Now we can probably guess Quebec. The premier of Quebec already said, yeah, don't worry, Montreal, you're fine. Ontario's fine with it. I mean, they had the bubble. They're probably fine with it. Remember, Alberta was bragging about mountains to get their bubble. They're okay with it. Manitoba, the Jets, they're fine. And if you all remember back to when we were trying to figure out who was going to be a bubble city, Vancouver was very close. But their health officials said, no, we're not doing this. And surprise, surprise, BC seems to be the odd one out here. Now, David Pagnotta earlier today did sort of say that if it's just the Canucks that are sort of out of this, then the Canucks would simply just be moved out of Vancouver. And I mean, yeah, Alberta's not that far away, right? But then you start thinking, yeah, but then Alberta's kind of a mess right now. But anyway.
The Hamilton Canucks, the Quebec City Canucks, I think there's places that would want them.
Now, this is, I was thinking about this when the news first came, and I was thinking about, so let's say you're moving all the 7 Canadian teams to the States, right? And the word started coming out about the restriction that was going to be on players on road games, like they couldn't leave their hotel and all this, right? Even, a sort of more lenient, / not really lenient version of what we had in the bubble, right? Because you're traveling, but you can't really explore the benefits of traveling across the world, right? Or the state. Even though every state feels like a different world. And I'm thinking, right, so you have this season, you're going from January to May, and you're not going to see your family for that long. And I'm thinking, oh, no. And now it looks like we don't know what's going on with San Jose or a lot of other teams right now, but I'm surprised that there was no sort of more word from the players about this, because it would either be they'd have to leave their family for longer than the damn bubble, and there's no chance they're going home early unless everything falls apart, which no one wants, or you're moving them to the States or another state in the midst of the pandemic, which the vaccine is coming, but like normal people are not getting this thing for a long time. Like it's, you know, it's, and rightfully so, like frontline workers much more important. So we could still have the Canadian division, it looks like. But first off, what I want to ask you guys about is a lot of people were sort of giving Vancouver crap, or BC, I should say. I want to get your reaction to that, because I don't think it's very fair to go after health officials for being cautious.
So I looked into it because I was actually just about to bring it up.
Okay.
So my understanding of how it works, and I if I'm wrong, I'd like someone to explain it to me. Mm-hmm. So you're allowed to fly into Vancouver. Like apparently there's flights coming in from the US, coming in from China, coming in from different places, as long as they quarantine for 14 days. Mm-hmm. But if the players are getting, my understanding is I don't think the testing has changed. Would it still be daily testing? Like that's what it's.
It might follow the same as the NBA, where it might be like, you know, you have to have the 3 tests, and then all of them have to kind of show, and it might be still daily testing.
Because if it's daily testing, and they have to stay in their hotel, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm not understanding it. At the end of the day, I'm also not a I'm not a scientist. Like I'm just. This is just my perception of what the rules are. And then how the NHL is saying, well, hey, we're testing every day. And I understand there's issues with the test. But if they're staying in their hotel, I don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of misinformed. I feel like it's kind of just they're not hypocrite. That's not the word. But I feel like they have a way to, I don't know. It's just an odd thing that I think they're just trying to,
they're trying to be sure, because I know that, and these are from other sources, but like there were other hockey teams that got COVID, or so a lot of players tested positive, and this is from other leagues, and they were these type of teams that, you know, they were kind of in close quarters kind of thing, and then they just had that one player that I think went out, or I don't know, like for groceries or something, and then like everybody else got it after. So I think that's kind of the one thing where, like, even if it's in a one stationary area, they just want to say, like, well, let's not have that situation either.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't like and I'm not seeing any of you guys or these people, but I don't like seeing people say or Vancouver, or BC are ruining it for everyone. I feel like it's kind of
frustrated fan, the frustrated old time fan.
It's just, and then you have the people saying, well, we don't need the Canucks anyway, they suck. It's like, guys, like, you know, it's
they do, but
well, yeah, of course, but I just have a hard time getting mad at health officials, right? No. And again, we're not what's her name? Is it Sonia Deville?
Honestly, I'm not too sure.
Ontario's head. We're not Teresa Tam. We're not like the head doctor. I don't know it.
I know nothing about science. That's why I'm in journalism.
We're like Jon Snow. We know nothing. Jon
We're
Snow.
not science journalists.
No,
we're not science. We're here to talk about sport. We open the show talking about the Mandalorian. All right, this is not your podcast for science and, you know, vaccine at 42 whatever. We don't know that.
Sorry. Doesn't Alex say it's science though?
It is science.
Yeah, but that's hit to the head is bad.
Oh, okay.
That's hit to the head bad. That's
if you hit someone in the back of the head with a hammer, it's not good for them.
The funny thing, I remember when the NWO did that to The Rock when I was a little kid, and it shocked me. I know it's staged now, but when I was a kid, I was like, oh my gosh, did that just happen on TV?
Say that again?
When the NWO came back to the WWE and they did that to The Rock, I thought it was real when I was like so little. I'm like, did that just happen on TV?
Yeah, I don't know how to respond to that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I've. This has been a day
I'm
of me of my
speechless.
side stories of me recalling my childhood.
The ignorance of youth.
I just wanted to bring up a point. I think Daniel was talking about. I don't remember who brought it up about the kid from that one specific team, and it spread through the entire team. That's this, and I think going forward, and it's not really related to the BC thing, but I think that example is a really important example moving forward of what not to do. I think the players, there has to be a mentality amongst the players, and I know I've said this before, that you have to follow the rules, because if you don't, you are like, listen, the rules are in place. Whether you believe this, whether you believe that about COVID, whatever you believe, these are the rules that are in place. You can do whatever you want. Just remember, if you go out and do something stupid, you're the one causing the destruction right now. Like, because if they have to, because I'm guessing, especially in Canada, that if there's a certain amount of cases, they're going to have to shut that thing down real quick.
It's interesting that I'm worried about the states. Was talking about this with the family earlier.
Yeah.
If by the time Biden comes in, if he just sort of clamps down on everything in COVID, how that's just going to screw everything up as well. I
didn't think about that.
Yeah, that was my mom's thing. I take no credit in that, but
first he has to get into office, right? I mean, I'm just joking.
We'll do that. This is from Ryan Rashad, by the way. I think this is when was the 19th? What is today?
Today's the 20th.
Okay, the 19th. Almost Christmas, guys.
Post-exam schedule feels.
This is our first.
We're affecting right now.
Sweet.
Have we all finished exams?
Yeah,
I'm done.
Oh, okay, that's good.
So from Ryan Rashad, he said, league sources say, and this was from yesterday, league sources say at this point the BC government remains unwilling to allow NHL teams to travel into the province for games. That may change as discussions continue, but remains their position as of now, even with the added safety protocols outlined today by Frank Saravelli. And again, this is the same government that saw what the bubble and how successful it was for the NHL. And you would assume like the league got some goodwill there for people, for health officials, but they're still sticking by their guns, which at the end of it, whether you can argue whether it's right or wrong, I'm on the side of, you're being safe. I get it. I have a damn lot of respect for the BC government right now. I'll say that. I have a damn bit of respect for them. Good for them.
This is my opinion, and it might be wrong, but what I kind of feel is, remember in the summer, we were like, wow, look at the bubble. So great. Like, no positive cases. Everything went well. And I think the NHL really rode with that and didn't have an alternative plan when they realized another season is coming. When the playoffs were so successful, another season was coming, and they're like, how do we follow up on this? And then again, they just kind of procrastinated on the decision. They didn't know what to do. I think that they looked at other leagues that it was a bit of a mess. Like the NBA's been okay so far, but they looked at the MLB in the regular season when that started, when the NHL playoffs are happening. And I think they didn't want to kind of have that kind of effect on things. But now that's just the feeling I'm getting right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the BC government is probably looking, east to them, looking at Alberta and how much of a problem it's been. And we're going to get back to it later on, but how much it's been a mess in terms of the cases, and the World Juniors are still there.
They had exhibition games canceled today, did they not?
Yeah, and we were going to get to it, but I'll just say one small story. But the German team had like 8 positive cases on their management that the team doctor had to conduct the practice.
I thought that was Sweden. Was it Germany?
I think
that's
Germany
hilarious.
As well. Yeah, Germany as well. Like they're having a lot of problems too. I
should correct that the COVID, but it's funny that the doctor had to do. All right, boys, I'm leading the stretch today.
Yeah,
we're started at the legs and we'll work our way up. Oh boy.
Just to, I don't know, kind of something that Daniel brought up, I thought was interesting about the whole bubble thing and how well it went. I don't know if it's you guys, maybe it's just me, but I felt like the the league, and rightfully so, were kind of constrained on what type of season they could have, because it didn't seem like the bubble was an option, and rightfully so, because of course I'm not expecting the players to say, you know what, guys, we're going to leave our families for like 4 to 5 months and we're going to go live in a bubble. Like I do not expect that at all. And I imagine you guys are the same way.
Yeah.
But it felt like they were constrained. Like they had to find some way to do it. And again, it goes back to my point. They knew they had to do this. They should have done it before.
Yeah. Plan. It's pretty well set though. Playoff. Apparently we're gonna have a new playoff format this year. I hope it's permanent because I really like it. Each division will have 4 teams that make the playoffs, and they will each produce a champion, as Friedman put it on Twitter. So if there is a Canadian division, that means there is a guaranteed Canadian team in the Final Four. So that would obviously mean going to what would be a conference final would be between the champions on one side of each division, and then obviously the winner of those 2 divisions would go off and then come final.
Basically, U Sports.
Yeah,
those are the rules. Yeah,
it's just I really like. It's simple, but I'm like, yeah, give it to them, take it. Nice.
Yeah, why the hell not?
It'll hold people's attention. I feel like you'll get the division champion, you'll celebrate that. Conference champion, to celebrate that. Stanley Cup champion, you'll celebrate that.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm really happy for it. I wasn't expecting it for some reason, but it's nice. It's just it's refreshing too.
What are the chances they use this moving forward?
Oh, I mean, well, if the owner listen, people are gonna want it. People are gonna love it. But Gary's just gonna say, yeah, no.
Hey, listen, there's a lot of things that people want. We still don't have it.
It's like it's already been a few years already, but I know no one is really kind of. I mean, the general consensus is the wild card hasn't been the best.
Well, the reason that this system was implemented, was it not to create more rivalries? That's what the whole idea was.
The wild card, yeah.
Well, with the new divisional setup and how they, I don't know. I feel like it's created one new rivalry, and it's extremely one-sided.
It's also like, I remember the one reference they used was like I think 2009. Carolina shouldn't have made the playoffs, but they were the division leader, so like they were still in 3rd place.
Oh my god!
And I think that was one thing they wanted to get rid of with the wild card.
Yeah, like the Pacific is garbage. They shouldn't have they don't deserve a wild. Like they don't deserve it.
It's up and coming, guys.
Yeah, it's been up and coming the whole time we've been fans. It's not. It's plateaued.
The Pacific? No, remember that one team? They had like 4 straight, division champions. They went to the conference finals 2017.
When was the last time Chicago won a cup? Oh wait, no, not even. No, what do you mean? Like who are the Pacific teams that are wicked?
Well, there
Vegas,
was L.A.
Vegas. They haven't won anything.
The Ducks.
They haven't won anything in a decade.
They've been competitive.
Yeah,
3 years ago they went to the conference finals.
5 years ago. I think it was competitive, but I don't think the team it was weird because those San Jose for how long had been. We can do it. We can do it. We can do it.
Or the Luck Kings.
And then they imploded. So
I have a friend that says the Luck Kings instead of LA Kings.
The Luck Kings.
The Luck Kings? No, French.
The Kings. The Kings.
It's pretty well set that we will have ads on players' helmets, try and get some money back. And I used to be really against having any sort of ad stuff, but then after watching Formula One, I'm like, yeah, I don't mind it.
Yofa on the helmet.
What?
On the helmet. Yofa.
Can we get the 2-on-1 logo on Arizona on there? We could afford it probably.
It's probably cheap.
Yeah.
I will look into it.
Yeah.
We'll make some calls.
It's simple. It's a nice little thing. And free. Elliot Friedman on 31.
We'll do it for free. We'll do it for free.
Well, the 2-on-1 of Alex just smiling, and it's his 2-on-1 podcast at the bottom of his face. It's a patch.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it stays either. Friedman on 31 Thoughts, him and Merrick did a little What's Going On episode a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And Friedman sort of made it sound like this is something that was very much overdue in the league. I mean, even in the AHL, like the Laval Rocket have Saint Hubert's on their thingy. It's like a fast food joint.
Yeah,
Okay.
that place is
Great
amazing.
chicken.
Yes,
No,
I love it. Yeah, they used to have it in
Great
Toronto.
Really?
Yeah, like another side story. That used to be beside my doctor. So every time we went there, I'd get chicken and ribs after. So yeah, but
Daniel, how are you? I'm not feeling well. Well, don't go next door. And then Daniel goes and gets a whole chicken.
yeah, what I'm kind of feeling is how this is my opinion. How they approach the ads is gonna be like a huge thing for me because I love how the NBA does it. I like how some football teams do it, like not American football, but yeah, European football. I like how they do it, but like I just don't like the overkill of like the European Hockey League ones where like I don't even know what the team is sometimes because there's just way too many.
Just do not crowd around the logo and we're fine. That's all. Just don't mess with the front logo. Just don't do it. Everywhere else, go ahead. Like the back of the jersey, go ahead. Just don't make around the logo bad. That's the one rule here. Okay?
Yeah.
You gotta make it still. You gotta keep the vanity of it all.
Yeah, that's where it would be different from European football because the way the jerseys in European football is like the logos here.
Yeah.
The main sponsors here. So it's very different. But
Yeah.
I think I don't know why fans are so opposed to it. Because like if the NBA can do it, anyone can do it, okay? Like you're not that special, NHL.
It's simple.
I think it's an insulated thing again. I had a conversation with a friend about it yesterday where it's the same thing we talked about where it's like, man, why doesn't EA like improve NHL the way it does for the other leagues? It's because it's the bottom tier of like the sports being watched that, you know, these little steps like the ads, they have to happen if you want it to keep growing, if you want more of a vested interest in the sport outside of, you know, these hardened like Canadians and like that's our identity kind of thing. Like you really need to expand. Like that's what needs to happen.
I think
definitely an older generation thing.
I think we have to get the mentality out. Like not we as the three of us. I mean, like I think just hockey and hockey fans in general need to get the mentality that we are special and unique out because clearly we're not. We've been dead last, like in the major four. We have been dead last for however. You know what I mean?
I just wanted to improve EA.
Yeah,
yeah, that
I'm
too.
kidding.
the NHL aren't even fourth anymore.
I mean, yeah.
Logan Paul is bigger than the NHL.
Yeah, that we knew.
That was sad. When we were like, who's Evander Kane? I'm like, oh.
Well,
no.
I was texting you guys. I was listening to an ESPN MMA podcast, and they were talking about Logan Paul because, like, obviously it was in the news, and they didn't even bring up Evander Kane's name. Like that's how little they care about the NHL.
Mm-hmm. Well, lads, we'll move on. Congratulations to Alex Steen on an amazing career. Retired.
Oh man.
And
my guy.
Naturally, we're not going to reflect on his career. We're going to say, well, good to know they can re-sign Vince Dunn. I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding. But former Leaf, the reason Steve Dangle wears number 10, and that's all that matters about Alex Steen's career.
Man, so like if I could do one throwback story to him, I thought when he was playing with Sandin, I was like, man, like this guy is the future. I remember like this guy's gonna be with the Leafs a very long time. So she had like a 60-point season with them. And then he started off really badly with the Leafs and then traded him and Carlo Koliakovo, by the way, for Lee Stepniak.
Really?
And yes. And then when he went to St. Louis, he exploded. And then Lee Stepniak was traded the next year for like a 4th rounder. And that really kind of hurt me. That was Cliff Fletcher's. That was on Cliff Fletcher. Okay. But yeah, like when he went there, like it was like, again, it's a childhood thing, but like it just kind of felt surreal that he wasn't on the Leafs anymore. And I love that he was doing so well in St. Louis, but also in my heart, I was kind of thinking, Man, like you imagine if they had him like throughout like the early 2010s. Like that would have been a great guy to have around in the locker room.
Yeah,
And
I asked myself that a lot.
that was echoed in St. Louis.
I
Like
asked
he's just a
myself
great
that
locker room
question.
guy in like St. Louis.
I asked myself
But that's
that
my
question
Alex
about a
Steen
lot of
nostalgia
players.
story. Yeah.
Hey, gracefully sort of changed his role to more of a depth guy for 2018 when they won the cup. Sorry, 2019 when they won the cup. Alex, a word on Alex Steen, if you would. Or I just
Your dog wants a word on Alex
I
Steen.
clearly, I think your dog wants a word. No, like, I mean, I kind of got into hockey around the time Alex Steen, I think, was traded. Daniel, what year was he traded?
I believe that was 2006.
He was traded in 2006. No, that seems.
Oh, no,
way
2006, 2008.
Alex.
Let's check
whatever.
that.
Either way, I remember him kind of on the Leafs, but I remember him obviously more as a St. Louis Blue, and I think, he was an important leader in that locker room, and I think it's gonna. Not that's not going to take a toll. Like, I think they do have other leaders in that locker room. I don't think it's going to be as big as, like, let's say Joe Pavelski leaving San Jose and going to Dallas. But I think he did have a really big presence in that room, and it might take a toll. But not that much.
The way I kind of see it is, this is a guy that performed when, and this is my opinion, that nobody wanted him anymore when they kind of said he was a failed prospect in Toronto, and then he's like, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look what I can do, and I played a 4,000 games.
November 24th, 2008 is when he was traded.
Yeah,
here's the little bit from the Hockey Writers. With that, let's head back to November 24th, 2008, when the Leafs traded an eventual Stanley Cup winner for some bottom six help that wouldn't last long in the blue and white. Congratulations. Great career. Lads, though.
Exactly.
Another guy whose career may be over. This season he will not play, unfortunately, due to a heart condition. That's Henrik Lundqvist. The King will not be playing. And this is simply gutting. Is what this is. I really hope that he is okay and that he can have one last season, because this is one of the best goalies of all time, and he deserves much better than this. Daniel, you must have grown up with the King in his prime.
I did. So my first memory of him was, I just knew he was a prospect for the Rangers, but I didn't know how good he was until the 2006 Olympics in Torino. And they won the gold that year, and he dominated. I'm like, who is this guy? Because I remember Al Montoya was the number one goalie prospect for the Rangers at the time, because he went 6th overall in the draft.
That's a name.
Yeah. So, and then he just continued to become so great. And then, when you get older and you have those moments where you start like researching everything, like, wait a minute, this guy was a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
In 2000, and he became this good, and he's in the top 10 or maybe top 5 for every goalie stat. And we talked about how it was kind of upsetting that I remember that picture of him on the bench against Carolina. This cannot be the end of the King. And when he signed, I was like ecstatic when he signed with Washington, because he got his chance. He's going to contender. This is a guy where he's not going to have to carry the load anymore. He's someone where he's going to an organization that has a chance, and perfect role with Ilya Samsonov. And this is a great way to end his career. And then to see something like this happen, like that was just that was pretty heart wrenching.
Alex.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel said most of what I was going to say, but I mean, it's really unfortunate. Obviously, that ending in New York was not so good, and it was really good. Like, I think he was linked to a couple teams, and I do think that Washington was a damn good team for him to go to, especially number one, like Daniel said, they're a contender. And I think it's also good for the organization because they have an extremely young goaltender, and Henrik Lundqvist has been through a lot as a player, like as a goalie, not really made, like the New York Rangers, and I think Adam always says it, that they didn't do enough for Henrik Lundqvist. And like the farthest they gone, they were so close, yet they were so far. Like they didn't have a chance against LA. Did they really have a chance against LA in 2015? No, they were so close.
14.
Or 14, sorry. So close, yet so far.
Yeah. 6th all-time in wins. By the way, ahead of him is Marc-Andre Fleury, who, no offense, but a lot of Fleury being up there is for the teams he played with. And Lundqvist never had a Crosby in front of him. He never did. He is I feel like there is a very big similarity that there's a real chance that we will be thinking of Henrik Lundqvist the same way that I might think about Carey Price in a few years. That the team he was with just sort of wasted it. The guy's best years. I mean, he just dragged such a mad Rangers team every single year. And what's really, like we talked about all of last season, how you cannot do the system of 3 goalies. And what sort of really feels like salt in the wound is there was a report that apparently this season teams will be required to carry 3 goalies with them. Yeah. And now obviously there's the cap side of it. But I just think of that, I'm like, man, that hurts. That really, really hurts. I'm going to stop it there because I don't want to reflect too much because God, I hope he comes back next season. And on the other side of it, it's either now the Capitals have to ask themselves, do you feel confident enough in Felix Copley to be your backup? You're going to have to because I don't think anyone else is available still.
Yeah.
Jimmy Howard's available.
Oh, yeah.
That guy's
apparently he was linked to
Anaheim.
apparently, where the Ducks were like, we might. Ryan Miller is still around. He still wants to play.
Yeah.
Okay, well, enough said there. But one career possibly ending, another one is continuing. Our first of our key free agents who are still available, Anthony Duclair signs 1 year with Florida. The Panthers making another sort of cheap depth kind of signing with a good player. But Duclair, a year ago, was in the midst. I keep thinking it's the summer when it's nearly Christmas. We're nearly 2021. But last season, a great sort of resurgence in his career. Represents himself at the worst possible time when COVID hits. But he has a home for next season, fortunately, Alex.
Yeah, and I think from the team standpoint, I think it's a really good move for Florida. They kind of did need a little more scoring. I feel like, losing Dodonov and Hoffman are big blows. And you didn't really bring, like, what did you bring in? You brought in Hinostroza, you brought in Carter Verhaeghe, Alex Wenberg, but that didn't feel like enough. And I think Anthony Duclair was a really good pickup for them. From the player standpoint, and I want to ask you guys this. Do you think because I think the rumor was he was offered a few years at over $3 million in Ottawa. Do you at all think he regrets that? Regrets declining that?
This current financial landscape, I'd be amazed if he wasn't.
Because it's not like next year's going to be any better.
Or the year afterwards.
Right.
We're screwed. This league is screwed.
Yeah.
Their player salaries are not moving up in any direction anytime soon.
Yeah. There was an article on Sports Illustrated right after the signing broke out. And it's kind of interesting where, this is the opposite of Fred VanVleet of, bet on yourself in a way.
Yeah.
Duclair really did bet on himself. He fired his agent prior to negotiations with Ottawa. And apparently, the rumor was it was 3 or 3.4 a year for 3 years. So that kind of hurt. And it is interesting because, the positives you could take out of this is it's another year of him to prove himself. And if he could get on that left side or the right side, because he can play both sides, on that top line with Barkov, then, his numbers are going to improve, that, he's going to show that he could be a valuable guy. He could be great up there. But when you look at that depth on Florida, it gets really thin as you go down the lines. Like, right. If he doesn't hit it with Huberdeau, he doesn't hit it with Barkov, you're going to end up seeing it like Frank Vatrano, or you're going to see him with like Alex Wenberg, where you're not gonna have a career year to get that contract that you really want.
Really funny you mentioned that contract because it sounds like what they did not have accepted by Anthony Duclair. They just went to Connor Brown and said, "Here you go." And he took it and ran. But hey, hopefully he can continue to.
You know what amazed me? Sorry, before we move on.
Yeah.
He's been on like 7 teams, and he's 25.
So he was. Let me try and figure this out. I think he was drafted by the Rangers, right?
Yeah.
And then was it the D'Angelo deal that sent him to Arizona?
No, it's the Keith Yandel one.
Keith Yandel. No. And then somehow he was in Columbus. I don't know how.
He went to Chicago for Leafs legend Richard Panik.
Really?
And then they didn't qualify him because they thought he was going to have another breakout season. And then from there, he went to Columbus.
No, I thought he... Oh, no, he got traded from Columbus to Ottawa. Yes.
Yeah, for Ryan Dzingel.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And Torts is like, yeah, he can't play. I love Torts so much. World Juniors. We teased it a bit earlier. Yeah, they had exhibition games canceled earlier today. Sweden and Germany have just been hammered. I woke up this morning, went downstairs, and the first thing I heard from my mom was like, "Did you hear the news of the cancellation of the World Juniors?" And my heart stopped. I was like, "No!" But CP24 was on, and the moment I looked down, it just said the exhibition games. I was like, thank the Lord, please. Oh, if the World Juniors got canceled, I don't know what I would do because I need this hockey. I need
you're part of NBA Twitter now, clearly.
Yeah, so. I am. Yeah, this is true. The Donald expects things of me so far. There was a suggestion here. I think this is from Daniel that maybe our next episode we can do dedicate like a whole episode to just maybe really going into the teams and doing a big ranking. I'd say we can try and do it today, but we have been going for a little bit here. Not as long as I think because we were late recording. I'm not going to blame anyone for that.
I blame the Mandalorian.
It's been just under an hour.
Yes. Okay, Daniel, I see you.
I blame the Mandalorian. We all agree we're a united front against this.
Yes. This is the way. I'll tell you what is also the way. Russia not being able to technically beat Russia at the Olympics. The Olympic athletes of Russia are coming back, baby, because Russia cannot use their flag, cannot say they are Russia because doping, and they got in trouble again.
I gotta buy a hat for that or like a jersey because, this is a very particular moment in time.
It is.
You remember those few Olympics when the Russians got caught? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a jersey actually.
Yeah, it's like I can show you.
Because they won gold in hockey when they were the Olympic athletes.
OAR.
Because they're half their team, their entire team was KHL players, which is literally the second best
led
league.
by Canadians great Ilya Kovalchuk.
Yeah. Him and Datsuk.
Yeah.
And then all the team Germany wanted to get pictures with them because it's like, I grew up watching you.
Oh, yeah, was that Kirill Kaprizov? Yeah, he was on that team.
See?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. I remember that.
Oh, but I mean, the Olympics. So I hope they happen. Who doesn't love the Olympics? Well, the NHL doesn't.
Oh, well, they are.
They're like
the 2021 Olympics are happening.
The NHL's like, let's see what happens.
I can't wait for the NHL to not go to the Olympics and we have to face labor peace again. I mean, labor trials again. It's like, just let them go. Please.
Who's out of the NHL now that would be on Team Canada? I'm just trying to think. We don't have to do the whole roster. I'm just thinking of
the center depth would be McDavid, Crosby, McKinnon, and who cares? You'd win.
Oh no, I'm thinking people outside the NHL. Nothing's ratified.
Oh,
there's definitely guys.
Shane Wright, and that's it. Caden Gooley would be 6. God, he's in the top 6 row. It looks like it. Made the team at 18. Let's go.
Is he 18? Or is he turning now?
No, he was 18 at the draft. Hold on a minute. He was 18. Let me double check this. Caden Gooley. He's still 18. He turns 19 on January 18th. My guy.
Hopefully the NHL is starting by then.
God, I hope. But hey, Daniel, I know you have a lot to say about the World Juniors.
Yeah,
Wait, no, what is it? Yeah, no, go on. What am I? I don't know where.
We're probably gonna do like something eventually for it, but like it's always we'll see how the tournament goes because I'm not doing any projections, especially with what's going on there right now in Red Deer and Edmonton. But yeah, like I don't know, just that initial excitement is just I'm trying to keep it at bay because I just want to see what's best for the players right now. But again, like what they were able to do, they had 46 people invited, like the most they've ever had. They had 26 first round picks at the training camp. They eventually picked 20 of them, but it's exciting times for Canada. It's another team that it's definitely gonna look at. But again, like what I want to say is I want this to be a tournament where you just want the safety for everyone. You want every team to be at full strength, and we're not going to see that with Germany anymore because Lucas Reichel got positive for COVID. That guy is a German superstar in juniors. For them, they still have Tim Stützle, but these are the type of other teams that when we talk about the growth of hockey, we also don't want these teams that they're on the rise to be regulated. You want to see what those prospects are producing or coming out of there. Like when we think of Leon Draisaitl, I don't want that. He's a superstar, but I don't want that to just be the one player we kind of focus on and say, hey, that's the only guy that I know from Germany.
Yeah, that's the issue is they lose Reichel, and it's like, okay, we don't really have much else. When Canada will lose, let's just say they didn't have Doc. Well, they just have Barfield. Doesn't matter. They just, what do you know? Well, God, who was the coach a few years ago that was really, really funny? He's like, we're going to lose. I mean, they have like 8 of the first round picks. And we have 1 in the fourth. 1.
The Swiss coach.
The Swiss one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he was so funny.
That guy was great.
This is realistic.
He put it. I want to see if I can find that clip. Hold on. Go on, lads. I got to find this.
But yeah, Switzerland's another one too where, they've had a lot of guys coming out that...
Dennis Mulligan.
Yeah, they had Nico Hischier and like Nino Niederreiter like dominating in the juniors. Like,
yes.
They've had quite a few guys here and there, but it's again like not from like the Canadian fandom of things like Canada's gonna dominate. Like it's also, I want this to be competitive. Like when we talk about growth of the game, it's also starts at the junior level with these things that I don't want to just see these stars that come and go.
I think the thing there is I think because in Canada hockey is and it's not technically the most popular sport, but it is highly up there. But in all these other places like Switzerland and Germany, like those two guys alone, like soccer is like the biggest thing there, like by far. Like I don't even think I couldn't even tell you what the next closest thing would be.
All right, lads, I've found the clip.
Okay.
Like a Canada team who dominates us again, and we try to hold against.
What did you learn about them in the pre-tournament game you played?
Learn that we are far away from them still. They're faster, they're bigger, they're stronger, they can shoot better, they can pass better, they can do everything better.
Is this what you'll tell your team? Like, what do you say to your team?
Exactly that. and try to fight against. What I want to say? They have like, I don't know, how many other first rounders they have? How many? 7. And the rest in the second round? Yeah. And one in the fourth round who play like the most NHL games so far.
That was Victor Mete.
So what I want to tell against? We just battle and try to battle. We have one in the fourth round too, one. And the rest is not drafted.
Is it good though that you can kind of...
He's so awesome.
That guy. It's like, are you going to tell your team that? Yeah.
We had one in the fifth, 2-1.
But
that was here Victor Mete played. He was the fourth rounder.
I don't know if like this is the sentiment like you guys have, but when I want to see Canada and Russia or Canada and the US or against Finland or Sweden in the gold medal game, I want it to be earned.
Yeah. Like
I want it to be like this was an all-around great tournament that we're it was fun to see when you're a kid. You see the 8-0 games, but it kind of gets to a point where it's just okay.
Oh man.
Like if you're not Canadian, you're not gonna watch this.
That was such a good. I'm sorry, dude, but that was such a good tournament because that was when Elias Anderson threw his medal too.
Yeah, that was the team that was not supposed to win. That was like the grit and grind Canada team. Like Sam Steele was the first line center.
Yeah, and that was the Hey Baby. What was it? Would you be my girl?
Oh yeah, for the goal song. Yeah, that was a team that like
they were great. What a legendary squad that team was.
And like, was it Tyler Steenbergen, like who's like a grinded out prospect right now for the Bruins, the one who scores the game winner?
Jake Batherson, I think, was on that team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it Steenberg who got the game winner and he was the only one who hadn't scored? Oh
yeah.
God, that was a great team.
Jake Batherson. Who's that other Ottawa prospect? They picked him in the 4th round. He's also
Slappick.
No, he's Canadian.
Brown.
Not Norris.
They have like
Alex Formington. There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, he was on that team too, and he really increased his stock in that.
And then he was in the Uber. And then he was in the Uber video, and then got sent back.
Yes.
But we still love him and Dylan DeMello.
Yes, we do. Well, Duchesne was doing all the talking.
Duchesne, I think Christian Wolanin, not Christian Wolanin. Wideman, because I think he ended up getting traded to
he did
to Anaheim like a few days later. Formington got sent back to the CHL, and then I think DeMello is the only one that was still there after. Obviously, Duchesne ended up getting traded later that season. Fun times.
Okay, I'll tell you an organization that's not having a lot of fun times. Some fans hate them because their province official cares about public health. And other people hate them because Braden Holtby upset some people. He had his new mask, and he got in a bit of hot water over it because it had some sort of, I guess, indigenous sort of designs that, and he didn't actually get an indigenous artist to do it. He did apologize very, very quickly, though, which, by the way, fantastic accountability. Holtby's such a weird dude. Like, he had turtles that he tried to get across the border. Like, that man is a book and a half.
I think the guy who drew it, the artist, sorry, I think I just saw a story the other day about him. He's gonna like contact some indigenous artists, I think, to help with that. So that's good. That's how, if you mess up, you deal with a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe not what Francesco Aquilini did, and just like. So they obviously the Canucks, then people were going after their logo for the same thing, right? Which I didn't even know. Apparently, it was an issue.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
I mean
the Orca.
I mean, like, the skate's the better logo, but for some reason the Aquilinis just hate the fans want it. So apparently there was some issue, and I think we were talking about this, Alex. And I can't remember what you said to me about this. And apparently the Canucks went to someone who was the chief of a clan or an elder. I feel really bad that I don't know the exact specifics of this.
See if I can find it.
And apparently that gentleman said, I'm fine with it. He had a Canucks logo, like he has a Canucks jersey on all this. And then, like, Mr. Aquilini just quote tweeted it saying, that's great. Can we just focus on hockey now? Like, dude. And I was like, what are you doing?
What
are you doing? It's just not been a great summer for the Canucks. It's just like Holtby, perfect. There you go. Apologize. They're going to rework it. But I mean, like, when we know that obviously Washington's football, the NFL team, is changing its name. We know that Cleveland and the MLB are changing their name as well. It's just we don't even know what's going on. Apparently the Blackhawks are staying course, but that's like apparently they've got permission for that, but it was a really, really long time ago, and you would assume maybe you would reach out again, but I don't think they have. And I don't know, maybe the Canucks just haven't, because this hasn't been a problem before, which is weird. Like I had no idea their logo had any sort of. I thought it was just a whale with a C that was for the Canucks.
Yeah, I didn't know either. Like that's.
Yeah,
the stories were really kind of interesting with that, where I didn't know that those were the designs.
Like, obviously, not defending it. I'm just saying, like, it's amazed that, like, it's just been here for so long, and there's just been no acknowledgement of it.
Yeah,
and like, if you have I'm trying to stall it out here while you do. That's why. If you have the okay from the community, from the indigenous tribes, right? Then I don't see there being a problem with it. Really? I mean, it feels like some of the stuff when we had Duncan McHugh come in for lectures, and it's like,
which was a great
if you reach
lecture.
out and if you make the effort, he's
Duncan's amazing.
Oh. He for 344 he hosted an episode of that class.
Yes, he did.
And it was so I was just like, you turn it on, you're like, okay, Ivar is gonna be here. Maybe maybe he's gonna bring in the lawyer. No, I love Ivar. He's such a nice guy. Or he's gonna bring in like the lawyer. That was, what's the lawyer's name again?
I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
Like, I'm not taking the piss. Like, I love Ivar.
I do.
He's so nice. Like, he's the best. I'm just saying, like, well, I'm going through the normal lecture. I'm like, okay, so like, I'm going like, all right, so time for, you say in your head like, journalism matter 344. It's like, I can't wait to go to the movies, and then you move on, and like Duncan McHugh shows him. You're like, wait, what? Duncan, my boy, what are you doing here? Even though it's pre-recorded, you can't actually talk to him. But
you can't?
No. I'm annoyed I can't remember the lawyer's name who they have on. What's his name? Anyway, the Canucks. Have you found anything yet?
I couldn't find the exact one, but this is the statement from. So this is what happened. My understanding. This is from the Sportsnet article. The team came under fire earlier this week when University of Manitoba Indigenous Studies and History professor Sean Carlton argued in a Twitter thread that Canucks should retire. The crest, as its Coast Salish inspired imagery, was designed without Indigenous consultation. The logo, which was created by artist Brent Lynch in 1997, features elements of Haida design. And then I have here a statement from Francesco Aquilini, who's the owner. We consult with the First Nations on many issues around our teams and business and value their wise counsel. Most recently, we collaborated on the Vancouver Warriors lacrosse team branding. We understand that not everyone embraces the Canucks logo, but are very pleased that so many people do, including our First Nations friends. We're grateful for this show of support and all the positive feedback we've received. I have another one here. Like there's a whole lot. I can't find the article that I had found before, but there's a lot of different people saying different things. So that's what I have.
It's good that you're working on the lacrosse team, but the issue here is with the Canucks. It's with the hockey team. But I mean, okay. The Canucks could handle that. You think if there's a team that needs to work on its PR, it's probably the Canucks with the way that Judge Brackett left. And you know who we can probably talk about this with? Friend of the show, Harmon Dial.
Maybe, yeah.
Good. Try and bring it on next time he is around. Steve Dangle has still not posted his video for the Habs. It is his next one because I think
still waiting.
He did a big. I think he's done a trade. Shut up, dogs. I think he's done a big trade tree.
Yeah,
because
Rick Nash.
That was
another one. It was half an hour.
Another one.
That was huge.
That was half an hour long.
But he did say his Habs one is up next. We will definitely be talking about that next episode.
Yeah.
Cross my heart and hope to die. We will. I guess we can look at one more thing before we go.
Yeah, I have something else that I realized. Yeah, what?
Well, what was it?
No, it was just something related to we were talking about at the beginning of the episode. So we'll do it at
the Mandalorian?
End. No, not the Mandalorian.
Oh, these dogs are just. I think. Oh, because the neighbor's dog is yelling now. What?
No.
Yeah.
That's okay. What did someone put in the document?
The struggles of the home studio.
They will not stop. From the Score, Matt Teague. 5 to 8 days ago. Jesus, we are late on this. McLennan, LA Kings head coach. I forgot he was.
I put that in there.
The Kings have finished their rebuild.
No,
it's time to turn the ship.
You know who said that before? When they were still really bad? The Toronto Raptors, Brian Colangelo. I think this was a year or two after Chris Bosh left. They didn't really do much at the draft, and they're the rebuild is over.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Well, they could be.
Yeah. Like,
are they in the stage where they are done purposely being in the bottom? I'm gonna mute myself.
I don't think so. Like,
you know what I'm? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
no, they have all these very good prospects, right? Byfield, Velarde, Alex Turcotte,
Tobias Bjornfot.
But are they ready to make that step? I think some of them are. I don't think enough of them are to a point where it's like we're at that point yet. Like, maybe I'm looking at this the wrong way. Because I'm looking at in terms of what the Leafs did pre 2017. Right? They didn't fully gut it down. I think they still have really good guys that are really good leaders. Kopitar, Doughty, Dustin Brown, whoever, Jonathan Quick. But what's surrounding that just isn't necessarily good enough.
I have 2 points. Yeah, I have 2 points with that. I think my first one is I think it's, and I could probably be wrong because I don't know what their opening roster is going to look like, but I think it's a bit jumping the gun right now to say that because all of their top guys, like, we talk about Byfield, we talk about Turcotte, we talk about, like Gabe Velarde had some games, but like, Rasmus Kupari or Tobias Bjornfot, like these are guys that have not stepped into the NHL yet, that we don't know how they're going to be on this roster. And the second thing is I'm really surprised that how long they've been at the bottom of the standings. They were able to sell that to Kopitar, to Doughty, to like Brown, to Carter, who, they're nearing the end of the career, or, even Jonathan Quick. Like, they had all these guys from their core of the winning years that now they have them still on contract for a while, that even now they like, you don't hear anyone going like, trade me to a contender.
Daniel, I think you answered it right there. How do you sell it? You don't sell it. You say, I can't trade you because your contract.
Right.
So deal with it. That, and you get to live in LA and you won your cups. Shut up.
Yeah.
And you have your money. Deal with it. I think it's that simple. Well, and at the same time, McLennan's not going to come out and say, yeah, we're going to suck again.
No, of course not. Of course not. But I think that quote, like to say you're done the rebuild, I don't know if that is true.
Yeah, it's a question mark there.
It's drafted very well though, so we'll take the positive out of this, saying, I guess the turnover to the future is there. Oh, yeah, again, like Kopitar, Doughty, have those guys around the young guys. That's that's great.
Absolutely,
that might rejuvenate things.
Yeah, like I think they probably have one of, if not the best, prospect cupboards in the league, which is always a good sign that you're rebuilding properly.
Yes.
You look at a team who trying to rebuild but never ended up rebuilding in Minnesota. When was their prospect cupboard top tier?
Has it ever been? Like, ever? Exactly.
I mean, 2000 and when they had like Brodin, Dumba still as prospects, and
how many of those guys
Alex
turned
Tuck
out? Yeah, like Tuck, who they
it didn't seem Tuck was turning out in Minnesota,
and now he's in Vegas, and like, yeah, Dumba's probably gone.
Yeah, Brodin, like, he's solid.
Yeah,
as, like,
that's it.
The guy.
It would look better if guys like Kunin and Greenway are looking a little better today. But Kunin's in Nashville. Greenway is there, good, but who else is with him?
Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, like that's their guy, Kirill Kaprizov. Like that's who they're kind of betting on here.
Wait, I have a question for you guys.
And Kevin Fiala.
Are you more confident? I know because they've been touted as the number one, like prospect pool for a while, like the LA Kings. Like more confident with them or the Chicago Blackhawks?
Oh, them.
Yeah.
At the moment, them. In terms of the future, I'm
going with Chicago because the Kings have who's running the Kings right now?
What do you mean? Who's running the Kings right now?
Who's their GM?
Oh, who's their GM?
It's freaking Lucky Luke and Rob Blake, isn't it? Those are the guys running the team. It's the boys'
Oh,
club. I
let me
mean,
check.
at least the
Yeah, Rob
Blackhawks
Blake.
have they've gone and it's taken them a
Okay,
long
don't
time.
say the Chicago's not the boys' club. They asked for. I mean, I understand they didn't have to trade Brandon Saad, but they also have Stan Bowman.
But they've made changes like above Bowman. They've on more avenues. Like I don't see anyone else hiring Ken O'Coin Schofield. I don't.
No.
You know, and I think some of the prospects on Chicago are a few steps forward. When in LA, it's like, okay, we got Kopitar.
Yeah. You got Doughty. No, but that's not what Daniel's question is, though.
Yeah, but the guys they do have is you have DeBrincat, who is young and is amazing. You got the same with
Kirby Doc.
Yeah, but not the guy I'm thinking. But yeah, Doc's another perfect one.
Ian Mitchell.
Not Ian Mitchell. He is.
Is it the guy from
Chicago
the Q?
have Kubalik as well.
Yeah,
Calder finalist. And just the Kings, where their guys are, I'm just like at least I know what they are. With Velarde, I would love Velarde. He was almost a Canadian before Patre nixed the deal. But the guy hasn't stayed healthy. It's just I know a lot more right now what the Blackhawks are, and at least like I don't quite know where Doughty is in his career right now, and at least Kane has the wheels, and like it's never been his physicality, and Taves will never lose that poise going to the next few years. When Dustin Brown is already a ghost, Kopitar is not the fleetest of foot. And then the moment those guys it doesn't like they'll have their prospects, but the moment those big anchors of contracts start looking worse and worse, I see that Kopitar and Doughty are already on the decline as opposed to Taves and Kane. Plus, like Keith is starting to look bad, but at least that contract is not the
$11 million.
It's not the worst thing ever. That's the only reason. I mean, it's what's that famous saying I like using? It's like comparing wolf and dog crap. It doesn't matter how you try and dress it up. They're both crap.
Yeah, like I guess the way I was looking at it is, yes, there's DeBrincat, Kubalik, but those guys aren't at the level of Taves and Kane, and I don't think they're going to hit those levels. Maybe DeBrincat, not Kubalik. But then what else is there? Like what the question I'm curious about is what else is in Chicago's prospect cupboard? Like, yes, there's Kirby Doc, Ian Mitchell, and what's the other defenseman? We
Alex
keep talking.
Vlasic?
No, we keep talking about him and we never remember his name. The guy
Nikolai Baudet.
Yes. The guy from I think he's from the Q.
Yeah, the bastards took him in Montreal. We're going to have him.
Yeah, right? Like, I feel like LA just has this really big prospect cupboard that, okay, fine, if some of them don't work out, some of them don't work out. But they have all these other guys that I feel like because Chicago has been trying to make the playoffs until the CEO got fired, and they've kind of been trying, and they weren't in quote unquote rebuild mode. Mm-hmm. That it's going to take a few more years for Chicago. You're right. They're both in a garbage.
You make
bag.
A really good point there.
Like they're both in a garbage bag, and they could be lit on fire at any point now. But I guess we're just, I don't know, picking things here.
They're both teams that were powerhouses a few years ago, and now they're. What about you, Daniel? You're asking the question. Who do you feel better with?
Me, just for the sake of the podcast, I'm gonna say that,
don't you dare.
I can't decide, because I don't want to take sides with you or Alex.
I'm not gonna get offended.
I'm pulling the Jamie McLennan right now.
As far as our arguments go, this is a very calm one.
Yeah.
I think. Well, if that's it,
undecided voter.
Undecided voter. Well, that is everything, by the way.
Well, one more point I wanted to bring up from the beginning of the show. I just remembered. Yeah. If I'm being honest, I do think that the planning of the draft and free agency was a tad poor. Because
as in like the ones that just in October or the upcoming?
No, the ones in July, the one on July 21st, the draft, and the free agency July 28th. So we all know the Olympics are going to happen in July, or they're supposed to. Guess when they start.
When do they start?
July 21st. The same day as the NHL entry draft. Well, I'm just curious, was there any planning?
The only for the draft, I'm on your side. I agree with all that except free agency because you do have to relocate like family. Everything else, like the draft, that is a disaster.
No, of course.
You know what the worst part is about everything though? That Mike gets to have free agency on his birthday.
No. I absolutely agree. Like, I know they have to move families, but move it back.
Yeah, they're
that's
bad. That's bad.
Move it back a week. Move the draft and free agency a week.
I agree.
It's a lot. Yeah,
especially that first day. You want that first day all to yourself. And now you get to share it with the Olympics.
Nothing quite like the NHL missing a mark to try and make themselves look good. Try to make something an event.
You know I don't know if they've released the schedule for the Olympics. Probably not. I really hope there's no basketball on that day, and I really hope there's no USA basketball on that day.
Oh my gosh. I mean, no views.
Hey, we're not live streaming the draft next year, by the way. No, that was a disaster.
That was
and boring.
Yeah, because they literally took the entire 2 minutes every single time.
Yeah, it's so annoying that I remember Montreal, like Bergevin was at the podium ready for a solid minute, and they waited the full 2 minutes, and I'm like,
they wanted to be sure they got the right guy at the spot.
Especially when I was yelling about a trade every other deal. It was like, yeah, we have a trade. No trades happened. No, they were fine. They knew they were taking Gouldy. Like, they knew. Like, after, like, getting to hear Trevor Timmins. Trevor? Am I talking about
Connor?
No,
Trevor. No, I'm thinking of the right one. Trevor.
Yeah.
Like, no, they were taking it. It was just like, he's going, like, can we just hurry up? I want to go on. I want to go home, and you know, this is terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the phone with Tyler Toffoli. Come on, VP.
And then just another thing. You know, I remember during the Mitch Marner negotiations, the one thing that Jamie McLennan was talking about was before something good happens, it always hits the low point.
Yes.
And I feel like ever since I heard that, I have seen that in every single thing that's happened in the NHL.
Maybe hit the low point a few weeks early. Just for me. No, you're right. It's like, yo, Gallagher ain't re-signing. Next day, Gallagher has re-signed.
Well, like,
we're not playing. There's no Canadian division. There's no season the players have agreed to play.
Right.
It's just they have to be done by Friday so we can quarantine and start camp. Everything is figured out on Friday.
That's how it goes.
Predictable.
Yeah.
Just do better. Like, Mike, they suck.
They're doing it for the hard news sports journalists out there. They
on a Friday, you're just so dickish.
They have something to write, and then
updated
it again. More to come.
Last edited at 2:17 p.m.
The story continues.
The story continues. Breaking news. Not actually, but
subtle breaking. They should be something where it's like alleged breaking news.
I hate when it's breaking news and it's been the same story for 3 hours. It's like that's
like CNN. That's how CNN does it. Like everything
it's
breaking
so
news.
Annoying. It's so annoying. Breaking news. This happened with Trump. It happened last week.
And welcome to the 24-hour news cycle.
Breaking news. Yes.
Like, Jesus Christ. Like even like. That's I love CP24.
It's the same thing.
It's so perfect.
But it's the same. They do the same thing.
It's not as bad.
I know, but they run the same stories. I still consciously find myself
watching the loop, though. Yeah.
Maybe it's not because it's not about Trump for the past 4 years. I don't notice that with CP24. But like, it's been so nice since the election kind of earned it because it just feels like there's been a lot less Trump in my life, and it's been. Instead, my Twitter timeline, instead of Trump is a racist, it's now Mandalorian spoilers.
Okay, now Adam, which one do you prefer?
I mean, like,
wow, that's a hot take.
Well, That's a good question. Do I rather hear about the bloated Oompa Loompa or what happened in the season finale? I don't know.
Again, you know
They
how
both
you
suck. Like,
you know
she
how
sucks.
you know how you say it's like picking between wolf or dog crap or whatever.
Yeah, that's still.
That's what it is.
Yep. Thank
Can't
God.
decide.
Whenever that transfer of power is gone and he's just out of it, it's just like that. Those 4 years felt a lot longer. It was bad. It was
Really
bad.
aged me.
I think it will be good.
If it
I hope
happens.
so.
If
By
it
the way,
happens.
shout out to Dr. Fauci, who has saved Christmas. Thanks to
Breaking news.
Santa.
Breaking
Yes,
news.
breaking news.
Breaking
Dr.
news.
Fauci
Mike
saved
hates
Santa.
kids.
Breaking news. Dr. Anthony Fauci has oh God, I'm dropping Lego everywhere. He went to the North Pole. He's talked to Santa. He gave him the vaccine, or he checked his levels and he's good. No
good.
harm to you or your children, or your family at all. Christmas is saved.
I like every time.
Thank goodness.
I enjoy every time Adam retweets something about that, just so I can put in the comments that Mike hates kids.
I love pissing off Mike. It's my favorite thing in the world. All right then, that's everything. By the way,
Yeah, that's everything.
we've been going for a while. Daniel, you were late, so you can. I don't know if anyone knows this, but Daniel was late.
What?
So-
What?
Yeah.
Oh no! I thought it was 10 after the hour.
No, it's not. This isn't right. You started. It was at 12:30. You got there at like 12:44.
No, it's 12:40.
It was 44.
Yeah, my apologies to listeners. For some reason, Discord kept opening up, not Zoom.
And your internet.
We weren't doing a video game stream on a Microsoft-owned product, so my apologies for that. So, listeners,
You can do the
that
outro.
has been fun.
Dulax is steering.
Yes, this has been fun. Thanks again to Voice Ed, to PODGO, by the way. We never really shout out PODGO too much on this. But yeah, thanks to the both of them for giving us an opportunity, for being an ad space for us as well. That's been great. Be sure to check us out everywhere you find your podcast. Doesn't really matter which one you choose, but if you do choose Apple Podcasts, please give us a review. Tell us what you
5
like, what you
stars.
didn't like. If you didn't give us 5 stars, please let us know. We will address this on the show.
We want to know who the one person who didn't give us 5-star was and gave us like 2. We want to talk to you.
Yeah, this is this is gonna be years from now, and then you're still gonna bring that up.
I'm like an elephant, man.
Yeah, but
remember.
anyways, be sure to check out Adam's YouTube channel.
There you
When's the next video coming out, Adam?
I'm probably gonna shoot it today, actually.
You can do a Steve Dangle reaction video.
No, I'm
Okay.
not a tool. I don't do reactions.
Okay.
No, I'm gonna.
Wait,
my
did
life
your
is
channel
Japanese.
start as a reaction channel?
No, it's not. It's not. Okay?
Well, it's called Leafs fan, right? It's similar to
Half fan reaction.
right. Their reaction.
Okay.
Let's get this. Let's get this straight.
It's in
There's
it.
there's the reaction channel
Yeah.
where there is the picture of the video, and it's like, oh my god, and then there's like breakdown analysis, which is what I have ripping off Steve Dangle naturally, but that's okay because I told him about him when we met him, and he was like,
Exactly.
sweet. But there is a reaction channel, which is like the YouTube version, like
Yes.
how they steal someone else's video. It's like, oh my god, and then there is
Yeah. Okay.
which is more analyses,
Reaction.
All right, we
analysis.
understand. But yeah, check us out.
reactionary analysis.
There we go.
But yeah, before we go, remember, please check it out on social media. We are basically on every platform: Instagram, Twitter,
Twitch.
Facebook.
Twitch.
Twitch, yes. Once again, this Wednesday we are going back to play GM mode for our Seattle Kraken, where we continue to build a young but promising team. We air at 6:30, and it's going to be
Eastern
fun.
time.
We promise. Eastern time.
Yes,
Yes, Eastern time,
And it will work this time.
and it will work. We will continue
hopefully.
to do really well with this. I think I'm excited for this.
Check out Alex's blog and Daniel's writing wherever he is. He
Yeah,
changes.
it will change. We will have a big announcement. We'll have a breaking news segment for that.
Okay,
Right.
we will.
Breaking news. We've known about it for about a month, but it's not been official. But Daniel's going here. Will Baldwin with the details.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah. Thank you guys.